much. Last week, I unfortunately was under the weather, and I was sick, and I could not get myself, unfortunately, to be on. However, we're back today, and I'm really excited to have my sister, Tomiko Moore, not by blood, but definitely my sister. And she's going to be talking to us today about Black history. I want to take a moment to also wish those that celebrated Valentine's Day a happy love day, happy Valentine's Day. To those that celebrated yesterday with your loved ones, to those that are newly engaged, congratulations. We're so happy for you. And we also want you to, we invite you at least to lift up this conversation by sharing it out to your colleagues and your friends. We also want you to engage during this conversation, chat
Yes.
with us. Tell us what's on your mind. We want to hear from you. And don't forget to also subscribe to our YouTube channel and our social media outlets at iRaise.org. I believe that's the handles at iRaise.org. And also, please don't forget to follow me at Shaniqua E. Moore on all social media platforms. All right, let's get started. So, Tamiko is literally like, we're winging it. This is what the Moors do. Tamiko's in the library hiding out, y'all, and at her job. And I am at Columbia Business School in the middle of a leadership program. I had to pause and say, no, I got to do this fireside. So, I'm in a
Yeah.
phone booth right now. Like this is
Yeah.
the New York life. So Tamiko, thanks for being with me today.
Anytime. Anytime for you. Anytime.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So I feel like your family and like people know you.
Yep.
You run a successful YouTube channel. You're a licensed social
Hmm.
worker. You have over 20 years of healthcare experience.
Yes.
You serve children with learning disabilities, behavioral
Yeah.
challenges, conduct and mood disorders. You're an author of an award-winning
Yeah.
book, Anti-Woman Controversies: A Woman Within Herself. You do so much incredible work. Is there
Thank
anything
you.
you want the audience to know about your work outside of that?
No, I'm just a human being just like you, and we share similar emotions. That is it. Thank you so much, Igor. Thank you.
I love it. So, we're in Black History Month, and this is a month typically where we start to really think about the contributions of
Mhm.
Black people as a whole. And we think about our history. We think about where we are right now. We think about where we want to be. I'm wondering if you can speak to where do you believe we are in our healing process? It's a huge question, but as people of color, Black people, it's Black History Month. Where do you believe we are? If you were to name that, what would that look like?
Mhm. And so, I think different people, we are at different phases of a healing process. And then I will have to ask the audience, then what does healing look to you? Because healing is not getting, sometimes it's not getting over something, because it's sometimes difficult to, we can't take anything away that happened. And so if it happened, part of a healing process is to acknowledge what happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes we like to sweep things under the rug. I don't want to talk about it. It's years ago. And I'm not saying to dawn on it, um, but at least acknowledge what happened. And once you acknowledge what happened, then you can also accept your current state, what is. I believe that
Mm,
starts a healing process in general. We have to acknowledge what happened, but also acknowledge what is today.
wow.
And so that starts a healing process for me,
Yeah.
right? And we're not throwing blame. We're not taking the blame because if we're talking facts, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not here to throw blame. We're here to say this is what happened in the past. This is how I was affected by it, and this
Mm,
is how I would like to move on from it.
yeah.
That I believe starts a healing process.
Yeah.
And healing can look different from for different ones,
Yeah.
but acknowledging and accepting can start a healing process.
Yeah, I mean, I love that idea of, like, acknowledgement. I think that's where thinking about the plight of Black people, a lot of our struggle is the lack of acknowledgement. And, of course, I hear people say things like, "Oh, Black people, all they do is complain about slavery." It's like, "Move on, get over it, get over it. Nobody wants to hear about it anymore." Um, what do you say to those things? Like, when you hear that, how do you respond to that? What would be your take on it?
It is greatly to get over something. You can't get over something that did uh, years, thousands of years of damage. That is insensitive. And so it's nothing to get over, possibly
Mm,
get through,
yeah.
possibly overcome it. But we don't
Mm,
get over years and
mm,
years of damage that was done to our ancestors and
yes.
to families now, because people carry that in today's society and
Yeah.
we see it. So there's
Mm,
nothing to get over,
mhm.
but it can, someone can get through it, but
Yeah.
not to get over it. It's
Wow.
too, it appears to be insensitive. I like my social work terms. It appears to
Ah,
be very insensitive. And
yes.
so,
Yeah.
therefore,
Yeah.
although what happened years ago, uh, certain bondage, if I would say, to try to
Yeah.
keep someone in bondage,
Mhm.
um, to not like me just because of my skin color, to leave
Yeah.
me out of opportunities just
Mhm.
because of my skin color,
Sure.
to put me in confined imprisonment just because of my skin color, to follow me just because of my skin color.
Mhm.
That's not something um, to get over because there's reason for it, right? And this is learned behavior, talking from a social work perspective again. It's learned behavior. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's learned behavior. And so it's not something to just to get over.
Right. That's so powerful.
However, it is something that
Yeah.
it can be overcome because we
Yeah.
cannot change somebody's behavior, but we can change our perspective to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about, a number of things comes to me when I hear you say that, but I think about the song "We Shall Overcome," right? It's like
Yeah,
the song wasn't "We shall get over it," like, we're gonna just get over there's we're gonna overcome this, right? And I think there's almost like a blame element to get over, right? It's like, "Yeah, get over it. It's your fault. Like, own up and move on," right? There's almost a blame element to it, but when you reframe that to overcome it, and now introduces a healing element to it,
exactly.
right? Resilience element, which is what I think
Exactly.
um, has been missing. And so, of course, we're talking about slavery. We're talking about the effects of
Yes.
slavery. It's Black History Month. We're talking about not just what has been, but where we are today as a people, right? And so I'm wondering also in the element of acknowledgement, how are ways that we as Black people, Black families can acknowledge the chronic trauma that has happened over the years? How do we come to terms with it ourselves and say, "This has happened"? Do you believe that that is there is a mechanism for that?
Right. And so once you acknowledge it, part of acknowledging, if you can, if anyone can, is a to talk about it. Right. There are some things that um, we can't talk about, and that's fine. But that's the start of it. You must talk about it. Right.
Mm,
That's number one. And you don't have to talk about it with everyone. I believe everyone hopefully should have a safe space.
yeah,
Right. That's number one. You should have a safe physical space where, hey, I can go to this place and feel safe. Right.
yeah,
You should have a safe social network. That's number two. even if it's one person, even if you're connected to a community. That's why it's so important to stay connected or to try to connect. Also,
Yeah.
you should have a safe mental space. And so we're talking about
Mhm.
three different safe spaces. One
Mhm.
should be physical, right? I consider my home safe, right? That's me. I I don't let in and everyone out of my home. That's I don't do it. I do love to
Yeah.
socialize, but most of my socialization it is outside.
Sure.
That's that, right?
Yeah.
That's just me.
Mhm.
I have a healthy social network. There are people that I can go to. Shanika is one of them. We don't have to talk every day. I can send her a text. That's just that's me, right?
Yeah.
I also have leaders, right? And so that's another safe social network that I don't have to speak to my leaders every day, right?
Mhm.
But they have me in their they have me in their thoughts, right? So
Yeah.
that's another safe space.
Mhm.
I have a safe mental space because I have to repeat positive affirmations to myself.
Sure.
Like, this will not last always.
Mm.
Tomiko, you can do this. You
Yeah.
know, and so that's what I say. And then I have to come up how I can do it. I cannot give this situation much attention. Not
Yeah.
saying I'm forgetting about it, but I'm not drawing much attention to the situation. And then I'm looking for avenue and answers to get through the situation. So
Mm.
acknowledging it, having a conversation about it. If you can't have a conversation about it, I'm not sure if the healing process can be a smooth healing process if you
Yeah.
can't talk about it. And it's okay if you're in a space where you saying, I can't talk about this right now. It is okay.
Yeah. No, I love that. You kind of give us like techniques for healing, and I think they're really transferable. So these are techniques we can utilize whether we're healing from traumatic experiences, whether we're healing from relationship
Yeah.
loss, right? These are sort of these are tips, ways of life that we can apply so that we can start the healing process. And just thinking about along those lines of healing, I think what we've seen, and I was talking to a counterpart recently, is like this uptick of people lacking mental wellness, right, in our society today. And some may attribute it to poverty, as some may attribute it to COVID-19 post-pandemic effects. Some may attribute it to systemic racism, but we do know that there has been such um, a reshaping of people's peace in a sense. And I wonder what your take is on that. What are you seeing as some of those causes or causalities that are affecting people's mental state and mental wellness today?
Part of it, before I go into that, before I go into that, another part of the healing process is that if you don't get stuck in time of events, because sometimes we get stuck in time of events, what it used to
Yes.
be, and then we stay uh, right there. We stay right there. Okay,
Wow.
so I just wanted to add that some things that causes um, a mental disruption is is sometimes overthinking. Quiet time is good. You know, I like to go back to my school days and be like, listen, you sit around here, this is a quiet time, and this is it, right? I think we all need quiet time.
Yeah.
However, too much quiet time, you're going to overthink, right?
Yeah.
And overthinking um, sometimes starts the what if, because the only thing I do is have time to think. Then You're saying what if, and you're already thinking about what if something negative might happen, and that might not be the case. And so if I'm already overthinking about the negative, it's going to cause me to get nervous because I already think this is what's going to happen. And it
Yeah.
didn't happen. So sometimes we have to do a reality check with
Hmm.
ourselves. Is this currently happening, or this is what I think is going to happen?
Wow.
And that happens with um, nervousness and overthinking. Yes, I do. I believe that sometimes COVID has caused um, has raised the anxiety. I think COVID has raised um, the the anxiety because we had all these news, and then we was told to isolate, and we was told not to touch our family members,
Yeah.
and things like that, and we was home, and a lot of people uh, were passing away from COVID. um, I believe parts of the COVID madness improved. However, there is still anxiety around COVID. Um, the thing that helped me is slow. Sometimes we can't move fast.
Yeah.
That's what I saw during COVID. You know, people coughing and sneezing, and everybody was running, to the doctor. Well, we've been coughing and sneezing all this time.
Yeah.
You know, everything, it's COVID.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to slow it down. You have to
Yeah.
slow it down so we can kind of process what happened, and not focus on too much what we think is going to happen, because that's going to raise our anxiety.
Yeah. I'm also wondering about mental health in terms of Black people. And,
Hmm.
as this is Black History Month, there was actually
Yep.
a really interesting article that I read, and I don't have the source as of now, but CDC actually quoted racism to be one of the leading causes of mental health, or leading to mental health risk factors in young people, particularly Black youth. And
Yep.
so the correlation between how racism is impacting young people's mental health. So, my question to you is, what have you seen in your work around racism and its effect on young people as a whole?
Hmm. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. So racism can be a big factor for some anxiety. That is true. And although racism been here for years, uh, what I would encourage is that family members, adults, your connections, try to have the conversation um, with the youth. Some conversations are not held. It's just like, okay, you get up, you go to school, and you go out. And even I'm talking about teenagers and things like that. The conversation is not held. Some conversation is not held. It's like preparing, just like how we prepare to go on vacation, we prepare for a holiday, we prepare for a wedding or a birthday. Who has prepared us? Who has educated us? Education starts at home, or it can start with your social network as well. Who has prepared us? Who had the conversation? I think the conversation about racism haven't been held sometimes. And so when I go outside, and if I'm followed or if I'm stopped, how do I know how to act appropriately? That's what it is. If I'm stopped, if I'm driving and I'm stopped and I haven't had the conversation, it's like, man, oh boy, what happened? I see red and blue lights telling me to pull over to the right, and I'm just driving. Like what? But no one has prepared me. No one has prepared me. Follow, stop, and drive. Don't put your windows down, and make sure your hands are shown. Don't keep your hands on the wheel and say yes, sir, and this, and find out and look at the name or look at the badge or whatever. No one has prepared me. No one has prepared. And sometimes having that uncomfortable conversation, it still needs to be heard. Just like women, teenagers, as they body change, having the conversation. No one has, they haven't prepared. And so sometimes we need to be prepared on how to handle difficult situations, how to respond, because aggression sometimes might lead to a death or might lead to someone getting hurt because both persons can't be nervous you know,
Yeah.
at the end, right?
Yeah.
I'm nervous because I don't know why you stopping me, you know,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
nervous because, oh, just right, because of my
Because
skin
I'm
color.
not.
You
Right.
think
Right.
I'm valid. I'm
Yeah.
valid. You
The thing
understand?
is, the thing is, and this is based in science, there are two primary emotions where
Hmm.
all of our actions are based on fear and love.
Yep.
And a
Yep.
lot of times you'll see the driving factor is most of the times when you hear, "Why'd you kill him?" Right? Is I was afraid. So fear is deadly and very dangerous. Um, but what I'm also hearing when you talk about the talk, like you gotta have the conversation. And also the preparation piece, Tamiko, what comes to me is a Civil Rights Act did not prepare us for healing. Juneteenth didn't prepare us for healing, right? These are policies and these are, laws and so forth. But the actual healing process and how to sort of begin to put the pieces back together and overcome. I don't think there is not a manual for it. There isn't a manuscript for it.
No.
It doesn't exist. It's like, okay, so where do we go from here, right? We hear, get over it. It's like, like, it's not like we don't want to overcome it, but it's how do we even process it? Like, I'm still traumatized driving by a plantation field, and I've never picked cotton on a plantation, right? But it's in my DNA, it's in my blood, it's in my bloodline, right? This intergenerational trauma. And so like how do I even recognize it and then process it and then prepare for the healing process?
Right. Okay. And so, like you said, no, you doing it by having a conversation, by talking about it, and
Wow,
just know, sometimes you're not going to get every answer to everything
that's right.
because our forefathers, some of them are deceased,
Yeah.
right? So we're not going to get answers. And who say that they have answers? We're talking about thousands of years. And so I don't, and this is what I'm saying, my point when I said sometimes you cannot get stuck in time of events.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in time of events is going to sometimes leave you stuck, bothered, and upset because you're
Yes.
going to be looking for answers into everything. And you might not get the answer. So then what do
Yeah.
you do? Do you just stay there and say, I'm going to sit and wait for the answer that you might not ever get? Or
Yeah.
you're going to say, how do I get through this? We don't we don't have answers. We don't even have answers how COVID came about or how other diseases came about. And you might not get
Right.
the answers, you might not get all the answers concerning slavery, but do you stay there? That's what
Mm,
I'm asking. Or do you find ways to move through it? And this
mm,
is how sometimes we have to find internal peace. Sometimes the answer is not external, but you will
mm.
find your answers in the internal. And
I love it.
sometimes that's why you need the quiet time. Not too much quiet time, but this is when I talk about the classroom. They say sit in your seat. This is quiet time. Sometimes you need the quiet time because you need to spend time with yourself. And If you believe inside that there is something, that there is a higher power in yourself, then you need to spend time with your higher power, with your spirituality, because sometimes you're not going to find your answers externally, but you will find your answers internally. And that's going to have to do with time. And that's why I say don't get stuck in time of events. Well, 1,000 years ago, this is what happened.
Mm.
Happened 1,000. Yes, it happened 1,000 years ago. It affects us. But do you get stuck there? That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Don't
Yeah.
don't get stuck. Don't give your energy, all your energy there, because then how do you move on?
Yeah.
And so sometimes your peace is internal. It is not external, but you still want to stay connected to your external connects.
That's so powerful. And I just wisdom nuggets really quickly um, is sometimes the answers that we're looking for, especially for healing, is internal. It's not external. And certainly there isn't a blueprint for it.
Right.
There are techniques we can use, there are things we can draw from that we know work, but healing looks different for all of us. Another wisdom nugget is being comfortable with not having the answers. I think that's really a challenge for many people. I know I need answers. So being willing to say, I don't have the answers, but I'm going to find my closure or my peace with not having all the answers, right? And I
Right.
think that's transferable. So extending beyond Black history into other areas of our lives, be it relationship, be it a loved one or a job, not having all the answers about this particular challenge, but being okay with that and finding that peace internally. And I think also what I'm also hearing, Tomiko, is it's this dichotomy. It's you may not have all the answers, but if you look inwardly, you might also find it, right? Like you might even find it internally,
Right.
what you're looking for. But you need that quiet time. You need to
Yes.
spend time with yourself. And a lot of people are afraid to spend time with themselves because they don't want to
Yes.
hear the thoughts. Thoughts are tormenting, right? Let's be real. Like some people are
Yes.
tormented by their own thoughts. They're like, I don't want to be in silence.
Yes.
It's scary. Who wants
Yes.
to do
Hmm.
that, right?
Right.
Um, how do I even do that? Some people are dealing with anxiety and it can't sit still and
Mm.
hear their own thoughts. It'll make them feel even, like they're losing, losing
Hmm.
it.
Yes.
Um, but I also hear this idea of spirituality and that, yeah, maybe you can't rely fully on you, but maybe there's a higher power that you believe in, that maybe there's spirituality, it's God that you believe in. And that is also a methodology, if you will. Hate to use that word, but a technique to
Yes.
heal,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Yes. And we're wrapping up. So, in our
Yep.
any closing words around healing in this month of Black history and relationship that you would leave with us?
All right. Healing, I would say, I would say, be kind to yourself. I don't know if anyone ever heard of that. Because sometimes we say, well, what's wrong with me? They don't like me because sometimes we can't worry about why people don't like you, right? And we all come with some error. That's just humanity. That's human life. Um, but be kind to yourself. Give yourself something. Sometimes we give so much because we're expecting for someone to give us what we feel is missing, what we feel that's void, that there's a void, right? And there's nothing wrong with having a void because when there's a void, there's also a refilling. And whether it's refilled by that particular person,
Yeah,
by someone, or by yourself. So don't say, well, I'm void, there's a void here. It can be refilled, right?
sure.
But first, you have to be kind to yourself. We sometimes beat up ourselves, and we have to stop doing that. Don't take on sometimes what society feels about you. And sometimes we do that. If someone don't like you, they have the issue, right? If there's something that you feel that you need to work on, then work on it. You don't have to make any big announcements. People are going to know that you have made some changes by your behavior. I've said that before. We all come with error, right? That's why I don't know who's better than whoever. We all come with error. We birth in the same manner. We dress in the same manner. We eat in the same manner. How's someone better than another? You might have a different status, but how are you so much better? We're more alike than different. It's
Absolutely.
just that some don't want to recognize it. And
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. But be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
That can be another healing process of how we think about ourselves. Everybody is not going to like you. Everybody is not going to like me. And it is okay. But don't let it stop you from growing and being the best you. Do not let it stop you. That can start the healing process. And again,
Incredible.
like I said, find some good connections, even if it's one person, one or two people, and stay connected.
Yeah.
You get some things done by connections.
Yeah.
You can help me with my weakness, I can help you with your weakness, and we go on. But you got to
Yeah.
be friendly. You have to be friendly and channel. And sometimes we have to try to turn our anger and things like that. Because sometimes it's demonstrated, people they destroy items, they break glasses, they violence, they hurt people because we haven't dealt with it. And so we're taking that out on objects and we're taking that out on other people. That's because something wasn't dealt with. And it was so much that we lashed out on somebody or we destroyed somebody's property. And then what? And so we have to learn how to deal with, things that's troubling us. But you don't have to deal with it alone. And that is my last word that I want to leave. You don't have to deal with it alone if you don't want to. You don't have to. There's sometimes we give a listening ear, but we have to support each other. Okay? Because due to racism, we're already skeptical. We're not talking to people that have history of destroying us. And I love
Yeah.
everybody. So let me just clear that up. It's not that. I'm just talking about what is.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
that's why some of us don't want to go to doctors or don't want to seek a mental health person and stuff like that because we want somebody who we can identify with. Doesn't mean that we went through the same thing, but we want somebody, we're more comfortable with somebody who we can identify with.
Yeah.
That will help us talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so stay connected.
Oh, it's so good. It's so full of so much substance, and I know we're wrapping here, but just to that part of the healing by yourself, I think healing, one of the strategies to it is community. So
Yes,
many people, when they are going through depression, they isolate.
yes, yes.
When they're going through suicide ideation, they isolate.
Hmm.
When you, and I've never really seen a person create like a,
Hmm.
unless you're jumping off something to kill yourself, but
Right.
typically do that in isolation. Because if you had
Yes.
community, you'd probably be stopped. nine
Right.
times 10 times out of 10.
Right.
So, I think what you're saying about community is so important,
Hmm.
that we heal together,
We do.
and to heal alone, maybe it's possible, but it's certainly not going to be as easy. You can draw string for the ones that are in your village, in your life. So I love that, and I know we don't have time, and I got to go back to my program because I'm missing it. So, with Tamiko, this has been incredible.
Thank you.
How can people follow you? You have an incredible, successful YouTube channel. Can you
Yep.
give us that information?
Oh, yes, you can just put in my name. You can follow me. Put in YouTube, Tomikomoore, and you will see me. And I have, various of videos talking about different subjects, and some will make you laugh, smile, cry. You're either going to get encouraged, you either going to get empowered. You're going to get something to
You're
go
gonna get
on. You're going to get something to go on. Yeah, and be your best self. Be your best self. I believe in you, and I believe you can do it. You
yeah.
can do it.
Yes, you
I'm
can.
not Obama, but he said, yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
I believe in
Look,
you. I
the
believe in
Moors
you.
said you
All
can,
right.
so you can.
Eminem,
Period.
I'm done.
I love
I'm
it.
done.
I love it.
I'm
The
done.
Moors said
I'm
you
done.
can, so you can.
You
You
can.
yes, you can
You
heal.
can. You
Yes, you
can.
can be better. Yes, you can reach your full potential. Yes,
Yes,
you
you can.
can get through and overcome. And yes, we can, as a people, we
Yes.
can be better. We certainly can, and we will. So that is the end of. Can we put
Mhm.
Tamiko Moore's up on the screen? But that is where we're coming to a close, and it's always incredible having you, your family,
Thank you
to
so
us,
much.
of
Thank you so
course.
much. Yes,
So I
yes.
always
Thank you.
appreciate you gracing us with your presence while you're at work.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so, but hey, we're here for you. iRaise is here for you
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
iRaiseInc.org. Please, we provide mental health services. If you are a school and you are in need of support, reach out to us. We're now taking end schools for 2024 to 2025 school year. So if you're interested in us coming into your school and rolling out a program, reach out to us. We are here for you. We're here to support you. Parents, we also are here for you. Please look out for our resources. We have workshops and a parent support group for you all too. There are tons of programs available to our young people, including our executive coaching program, which I'm actually teaching, and I love doing this every
Nice.
year. For those that want to start a business, it's online. If you're between the ages of 11 and 19 years old, I believe the ages are. Please reach out so that you could be a part of this incredible program that's worth lots of money that you're going to get for free. So please reach out, get connected. We're healing as a community. And don't forget to follow us at iRace.org on all social media platforms, as well as on all major podcast platforms at iRaise ATL. Oh my God, I feel like I totally messed up the
It's
podcast name.
okay.
It is not ATL anymore. It's Rise. Guys, I'm so sorry. It's actually Rise ATL now, podcast. And you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Don't forget to also follow me at Shaniqua E. Moore and Tamiko Moore on all social media platforms. That's the end. Again, we love you all so much. Remember, you can do it. We appreciate you. Share this message out. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how we can support you. Until we see you again next week, you all.
Yes.
Stay